Hey guys, I'm Doctor McFarland, and in this video, we're going to do a live stream for the Headrush Tone Sculpting course. Sign up to be a member of the Headrush Tone Sculpting course on my website, and the rigs aren't really the main deal here. These are more like add-ons. The main part of the course is me going through every single amp, cab, microphone, effect, and show you how to build rigs really from the ground up. So if you're interested in that kind of content, then I encourage you to go to the website. There'll be a link in the description down below, and you can check out the Headrush Tone Sculpting course. Okay. And I did have a little bit of internet issues, so I think I'm back. I shouldn't have any problem. You can see the Headrush, you can see my guitar, and we're gonna start this thing again. So hopefully this won't happen anymore tonight, but sometimes the internet just goes down and that's what happens. So what we're making right now is a Tweed Basement Rig, and I've kind of decided I'm gonna keep this on the slightly dirty side, because I feel like there's other amps that are just better suited for like your squeaky clean kind of sounds. But the Tweed Basement is not one of those amps for me. So I'm going to kind of keep it in this 60 to 70% ballpark range. And let's just start digging in to the guitar here and see what kind of tone we got. Alright, so already we can hear that it's pretty crunchy, but what happens if we flip it over to maybe the neck pickup? Okay, still a little crunchy. Let's go both pickups. Alright, so this is definitely going to be a situation where if you dig in at all, it's going to get pretty crunchy. If I play kind of light, alright, it is going to clean up just slightly, but you're going to hear some dirt going on in there. Okay. Now, what if we brought it down maybe 40%, then maybe brought the Brigade up just a little bit. Alright, I think it's a good starting point, and we can always kick it with pedals in the front end there. Let's bring the mids down to 50%. Alright, very cool. Alright, let's do this. We're going to go ahead and save this, and I kind of like to think of Headrush Tone Sculpting as maybe I'm in the studio and I'm trying to create rigs for a certain song or just whatever. So this is probably going to be a good rhythm tone if you want like that crunchy. Okay, that kind of thing. Let's go to Air Reverb. Now, Air Reverb, I mean, it still has a lot of options, but not as many options as you can see all these on the bottom. These are all presets that I've made. But really, you just have ambient, chamber, church, dense, hall, nonlinear, room, and studio. So since we're in a studio, let's see what this reverb sounds like. Okay, not too bad, but we're going to bring the mix down because I want it just a little bit wet. Now, keep in mind, subtitles in Portuguese. Probably not. Sorry. Keep in mind that if you're playing in a big hall, then maybe you don't want as much reverb on your rig than, say, if you were already in the studio and you wanted to add some reverb as you record. So it's just two different mindsets. And that's what really you gotta keep in mind, is if you're playing in a big room, then adding a room reverb is not really going to help you all that much. You're kind of better off just having it dry, or even maybe just like, a touch of reverb. So it's not like just like dead. But if you add tons of reverb to your sound, this is what it's going to sound like. I feel like that's just going to get lost in the mix if you're playing in a live band. So let's just give it a little bit of reverb. And then if I get to the studio, I can just say, well, I'm just going to not use it. But at least this gives you the option. Turn my headphones up just a tad here. That is very few and far between. Some yum. So I wouldn't worry about it. Okay, this is not the purpose of this video, though. So this is a decent reverb sound. Now we don't always have to have delay, but just for the rare chance that you want a little bit of something going on, we can put it in like a dock slap. Alright, if you want to hear a little bit more, let's bring the mix up just a tad. Okay, so let's say we're going for like a rockabilly kind of classic rock kind of sound. And that makes sense because we're playing our Les Paul, and we're just going to have a good rock bassman. Okay, and with that in mind, let's go ahead and change the name. See how I can go to edit rig name. And we're just going to press the little X over here. We're going to say rock bassman. 2 S's. Okay, so this will be a rock bassman sound. And we can use this for all kinds of stuff. So, okay, I do not have my my expression pedal hooked up. But if I were to add like a wall pedal, for instance, I could go over here, put in a black wall. We'll make it open. Then we'll just go ahead and turn it off. So that way it will assign, and maybe go to pedal. We'll unassign that, go to B, and we'll put it on the B path. See what I did there? So I just chose B, and then clicked the pedal, unassigned it, then went back, and then assigned it to the B path. Because sometimes you don't want it on like right away, but when you click your toe, that's when the wall is going to turn on after the you know, if it was on, like, if you had like a volume pedal in the path. So videos for a live sound is no different. If you're going straight into the front of house, they're just gonna send your sound back through the floor wedges. Or if you're using like a FR 108 or 112 up on stage, I don't play out in bars or like clubs anymore. I mainly just play at church. But any rig that, or really just at church, I've been using one rig for like the last year. And I just keep modifying it. You know, maybe I'll add a tremolo, or maybe I'll add this or that. But yeah, I don't have to think about it. I just show up and play, and it sounds great. So now let's look at off axis. This is a Dyne 57, so it's a SM57 sound. Versus on. And off. All right, so off axis is going to the scope of the mid-range. So there's a few things you can do. If you like the sound of it on axis, but you don't want it as bright, you just have to go to the amp and just turn down the treble, just like you would on a real amp, right? We can even roll it down even more. So that sounds kind of honky to me, but it just kind of depends what you want. Now there are all these different microphone choices. So if we chose a MD421, you hear all the mid-range that comes into the signal. It's just that it's just a little honky sounding to me, which I'm not a big fan of. But it just kind of depends on what you're going for. So I'm going to bring down the treble on this just a little bit. Maybe bring up the bright channel. Okay, you can always get away with bringing up the bass a little bit too. If you're using a Marshall amp and just using the effect loop, should I be going front of house out of the head rush and using your method? I'm assuming you have a full size, the pedal board and not the gig board. So if you can use the alt output method, which I can't really demonstrate on the gig board, but the alt output method says I'm going to send the full signal to the effects loop of my amp up until the cab or the IR, which is why I usually have the cab or IR last in the chain. So that way you're sending the full signal, but you're bypassing that last little bit. So that way you're not sending the cab to your amp because your amp already has a speaker in it. And I think it sounds weird when you send a virtual cab to a physical speaker. It just doesn't make sense to me. I just don't like the sound. So, yeah, you can go XLR to front of house and send the full signal, and then 1/4 inch out to the effects return of your amp, and that's they'll send the full rig minus the cab or IR. Okay, you'll want to set your alt output source to either 1024 IR 1024, which is what I use for my IRs, or just cab input. Okay. Now, if we want to kick in a little bit of overdrive, thanks to the latest update, we have a few more options at our disposal. So if you want to get like a 90s grunge kind of sound, we can get that. This is the DS1, the Boss DS1. Some people don't like DS1s. I thought it sounded great, and I didn't do anything to it. I just brought it in the signal path and didn't change any knobs or anything. I thought it sounded really good. Here's the Mxr Distortion. Okay, I will bring up the distortion on this a little bit more. Okay, that's another option as well. And let's do one more. Let's do a tube screamer. We'll do a Doc Scream, which is nothing special. It just has the level all the way up and the drive all the way down. So is it off? Now, that may not be the sound you want. Like, we can bring the level down, maybe bring the drive up just a touch. Because maybe you don't want to color the sound that much, but you just want to add a little bit of mid-range. So, okay, I think I like that. So here's DS1, which is very scooped. Okay, the distortion is actually all the way down. And let's bring the tone down. Because if you've ever had a DS1, to me, if the tone gets past like 10 or 11 o'clock, creeping up on 12 o'clock, it's just way too bright. All right, I think that sounds good. Okay, let's keep it like that. Now, Laird is asking a question about the tape delay or the tape echo. Do you find the spring reverb reduces the volume of the guitar? When I use a spring reverb in a rig, I can never turn it off on the guitar. It gets way louder. I hadn't noticed the spring reverb do that. But let's just test it out real fast because we can. Let's just do mono. Okay, you did hear the volume drop, but the mix was up, so let's bring the mix down. Yep, the volume does drop a little bit. And if that's normal, I guess. I guess it is. I guess it is normal. Alright, that was pretty good. I guess to a certain point, you just have to bring it down until you don't hear a difference in volume. But to me, that's... Alright, I'll keep the spring reverb in there, turn the tape echo on. Alright, now for views, we can put in Stomp View, and we have all these here. So let's go to hardware assign, and let's say we want our JRC on the first block. We want a tape echo on the second block. Distortion. We can move these around. We can move them around if we want to. And maybe we want a tap tempo. And that's another thing we've added, or Headrush has added, is the tap tempo can be assigned to a switch now, instead of holding down the tuner and then tapping it in right here. Okay. So we'll just go here. We'll move these around like so. And this will be our first rig. Okay. So once again, if you have a full-size pedal board, you can get access to the black wall. Or if you have the headrest expression pedal or the mission engineering expression pedal, you can also whammy or just whatever you want. Okay. Yeah, I mean, you just have to kind of use your ears layered and see what you like. All right, let's add one more thing to the end of this name here. We're going to pay JY21 for July 2021. Maybe that'll work. I don't think I'm going to get to 3021 anytime soon, so I think it's safe to say that we can just do 2021 and be good. All right, now I am in a set list called July 2021. Okay, so anything else I make in this set list is automatically going to get saved to that set list. All right, now let's actually go for a very clean sound. And we'll keep it in the Fender vein. And the cleanest one I know is going to be either the Black Duo, or we can always go with a like a Lux, like a Vibralux kind of sound. Anything with like a higher headroom sound. Let's do the Vibralux Vibe. And this cabinet is these 2x12 silver cone. We have a Dyne 7, which is a SM7. It's like a SM7B kind of microphone. We'll put it on axis, and we'll actually do, let's do an 87 on this. And I've found that the condenser microphones actually sound really good. Especially for cleaner stuff. So let's turn the tremolo, or the treble down, volume up just a little bit. Put it on the middle pickup. Turn the bass down, treble back up. Alright, I know my speed on the tremolo is usually set around like 4.5 or 5. You can test that out by turning on the tremolo, or the vibrato as they call it. And we're going to want to turn down the intensity. This is the bridge pickup. Trying to get squared up in the shot here. Okay, that's a nice sound. We don't have to do a whole lot to this, but let's go ahead and bring in let's do a spring reverb again. We'll do a bright wash and see what that preset sounds like. Ooh. Cool. What do we got? Width at 80%, mix 30, tones all the way up. We'll turn the tails on so that way if we actually turn it off, check this out. See, the pedal's off, but the sound keeps going. If I were to turn the tails off, this is what it would do. It would just cut off drastically. So I don't want that. Normally I don't. Alright, let's go ahead and save this. We're going to call it Twin Clean. If I can type. I can type. Spacebar. Good, there we go. It just depends on what you're doing. If you're like in a surf rock kind of band, that much reverb just works. You know, I don't see any issue with it. So okay, let's see what kind of sound we can get if we add a K drive, which is our clon, our humble clon sound. Let's turn the drive all the way down. Level up at 50% will push the amp a lot. So all right, I know I'm building rigs for my tone sculpting course, but if you have any questions at all, go ahead and just, you know, chat away, and I'll try to address questions as we go. But just know that if you're brand new to the channel, then I've been doing headrush videos since like 2017. It's been a long time. I think I've counted like at least over 140 something different videos on YouTube. And then plus you got the headrush course on my website, which has, I think, close to 80 or 90 videos going through every amp, cab, mic, effect, different styles, different genres, different stuff like that. So, lots of videos out there for you to watch. Okay, let's see what happens if we start driving it up. Level down, drive up. Okay, that is a lot of reverb. That's a lot. I mean, the decay is all the way up, so. Now, like I said before, if you get to a big room, do you really have to have that much reverb? I don't think you do. So we'll keep the brightness of the tone up. Let's just turn the mix down. Cool. I like that. Robert, I think it's very important to let the sound guy at the gig do his job. So just like if you bring an amp, he's going to place a microphone on your speaker, and he's going to go back to the board, and he's going to blend it in with the band, right? So I think if you dial in your sounds at the house, on either studio monitors or an FR 108 or whatever you have, then whatever sound you bring to the gig, that's what the sound guy now is able to use to get the full band sound. So it's very easy to think that, oh, I have to sound great, you know, at the house with nobody else playing. But then when you get to the gig, you wonder why you sound different. It's because you have all these other band members playing along with you now, and the frequencies in your rig that you were trying to make so big at the house now like just doesn't sound as big in a full band mix because you're trying to take up too much space in the mix. So I think it's very important to like maybe dial in your rigs playing along with backing tracks on YouTube, or just something where you hear like drums, bass, maybe another guitar, maybe an acoustic guitar. You can hear what your rig sounds like in the context of a full band mix. Okay. But I think once you get on stage, it's like, don't go running to the screen and start changing a bunch of stuff just because you hear it differently than you were at the house. I think you just need to go set up and just start playing and just be happy that you're playing, and don't worry about every little nuance of your sound. Okay. Now, if you get to the gig and you just realize that, man, I really should have put my drive at 50% instead of 61, well, then just go turn it down. But don't go recreating your whole set list because you think it sounds bad. Just show up and play and let the sound guy do what he's supposed to do, and I think you'll have a good time on stage. So, but I understand where you're coming from. Because you want to connect to your sound, right? I mean, that's the whole point of playing. Is like, man, I want to make this connection with my amp and my guitar. But sometimes it's just, you got to trust what your ears heard at the house and then show up to the gig and just play. I think it's the best thing to do. So we got amp, vibrato, spring reverb, cab. I don't want tons of delay in here. Let's throw in maybe a dyne delay, which is more of like a Boss DD3, so more like a digital delay kind of sound. So we'll see what this sounds like. Okay, so that way, let's do this. Let's bring the delay onto this one right here. And we'll put the reverb last. So K-drive, vibrato, delay, spring reverb, just in case you want to turn off the reverb. So now we can... Hey, thanks, Madhu, for chiming in. All right. I think it's a good one. So far we have like a classic rock kind of basement sound. We have a twin clean sound. Let's save this. Just make sure we save it. And let's do a new rig. And let's come up with something I would probably end up doing at church. Okay. Let's actually use one of the new rigs, which is the orange channel 1. It's a tangerine channel 1. So this one can get clean, but it can also get fairly dirty pretty fast. So. All right, do we like that sound of the cab? I'm kind of more of a fan of like a 4x12. Now, a vintage 30 is going to sound way different from a greenback. We even have like two different greenback cabs. We have a 25 watt and a 20 watt. Let's check out what the 25 watt sounds like in this scenario with a 409. Maybe a 21. SM57. 414. 87. Okay, there's the 25 watt sound, and here's the 20 watt sound. And I don't know why I gravitate towards certain sounds, but I just keep changing things until I hear something that I like. So we're going to call this a Tango Channel 1. Okay. Unfortunately, I'm not that familiar with Gary Moore, so Very cool. Well, hey, thanks for buying the course, Madu. And I'll look into Gary more and see what I can do with the Messiah Will Return kind of sound. Okay. But I do appreciate you chiming in and liking the course. I'm glad that was helpful for you. All right, let's crank up this amp all the way and see what happens. All right, let's see what it sounds like at the gain a little bit lower. Alright, let's say that's our clean sound. And let's actually put in a nice pretty reverb. Let's do a beautiful one. Okay, let's turn down the mix. Very cool. Alright, so this one's going to get you, it can get you clean if you have anything with like a bridge pickup on. If you're going neck pickup. Okay, then you go bridge. Turn the gain up just a little bit. Alright, another thing, this does have a master volume. And one thing you want to really look out for is the louder you have that master volume, the more power amp distortion you're going to get. Okay, it's just the same way with real amps, like a real physical amp. If you turn up the master more, you can get more power tube overdrive. Okay, so. I got to know what this voice text is saying. You got me interested now. What's going on with all that? What is going on? But anyway. So I'm going to turn the gain up a little bit more. And you can see that I'm still fairly clean. Okay, if I start turn up the master, see that's where your power tube distortion is going to come from. I actually like that. Let's turn the bass up and the treble down a little bit. So if you mess with the Tangerine channel 1 and you was like, oh, I thought this was a clean channel. Well, maybe you just had your master up too much and, you know, you were just driving the power section too much. So yeah, I'm going to agree with Robert here about the JCM 800. That's it's a pretty classic amp. And I'm actually going to do that one next. It's just a good all-around amp to dial in sounds with. I think that's what Tracy Guns uses a lot. He might also use the Plexi. But I'm not too worried about all that. Let's try this off axis. make it off axis. It's gonna make it too bassy. We'll bring up the treble, and we'll also bring back the mid range just a tad. Okay, there's your clean. Let's bring in an overdrive, and let's make this a black op, and we'll make it a dirty hair. Volume's a little hot. Bring up the distortion. I kind of wish we had a color that was black with maybe like a white background, so it wouldn't like totally blend in with the background here, but we'll make it purple or something. Pretty good. Alright, just for fun, let's show you what the difference in sound with an IR. Okay, and we're going to go to my, let's go to default. And then I have my Sonic DNA IRs, which will be on sale for 50% off this weekend. So if you're interested in diving in deep to some Sonic DNA IRs, then definitely go pick up my pack for half off, and you'll get pretty much everything you need. So I'm going to go to, the thing with my IRs is we have a vintage 30 and a greenback, but not necessarily on every section. So I have it like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and so on, and each one is going to be a little variant. So if I choose D, that's going to be a vintage 30 with a 421 and a 121 on the same speaker. And it's just different levels of the microphone, up or down. But yeah, let's do this one. All right, so listen to that sound. Okay, bypass that, turn on the cab. Okay, do you hear a lot of difference there? Now this is a greenback, and this one is a vintage 30. So let's actually go choose a greenback option, which would make way more sense. And we'll do this one. Okay, so there's the cab. Here's the IR. There's a little less in volume. Let's bring the volume up a little bit. I'm going to say there's a little bit of high-end frequencies kind of letting loose, where the IR is a little tighter on the high end, and it's smoother sounding. But it's not that different. It's still pretty good. So I'm gonna stick with the cab. Just so if you don't have my IR pack, which you should, but if you don't have it, the stock cabs will be fine for just downloading and messing around, okay? Okay, you can take your pick on if you want it on or off axis. There's a nice clean tone. Clean tone. Let's do a bucket Brigade delay. Core notes. You're like, Nathan, I can't get a clean tone like that. Well, why not? Just pick your amp. Make sure if it does have a master volume, don't crank it up all the way. You know, pick a cab that sounds pretty decent in the ballpark of what you're wanting to hear. And then just add some effects and you're done. So it's not that hard. And I am playing on my middle pickup here. Now these pickups, these are probably in the 7 to 8K range. So okay, I really like that. And let's just say, since I'm gonna use this rig at church, because that's what I do. Let's add a pitch delay. I'm going to show you something really cool here. So we're going to do, I don't know what we're going to do. We're going to make this go up an octave above what I play. So check this out. Let's turn the mix up so you can hear what it's doing. Okay, I really like that sound. It is detuned just slightly. Okay, so let's bring the mix of that back down. And then let's make sure our reverb is up a little bit. I'm going to bring the mix of that pitch delay down even more. I just want to tuck it in. So you can hear a delay, but it's also just like a little high pitch. Little something something there. And let's do an ambiverb. Okay, this is also a new addition in the 2.3 update. So we'll make it very long. Oh yeah. Let's put it at the end of the chain so it's just like a big wash. With that on, we could probably get away with bringing the mix of the pitch delay up a little bit more. Because what's going to happen is the pitch delay is going to hit the front end of that big ambient reverb. And the reverb is just going to help wash it out a little bit. Okay, so... Wow. I didn't expect it to go there, but it went there and it sounds great. So we're going to change the name of this just to make it Tango Wash. So it's going to be an orange amp that's really ambient sounding. Okay? Yes, I like it a lot. Like it a lot. What's the Black Ops sound like there? Great. A lot going on there. All right. How many rigs have we made so far? So watch that. So if you take your finger and you slide it down, you can do this on the full-size pedal board as well. You can see all the rigs you've made in that set list. So you can see July 2021. That's the set list we're in. And these are the rigs that we've made so far. Okay. Now, I do not want necessarily these right here. So let's go ahead and change the assign. We'll do the pitch delay just in case we want that. And we'll do the ambiverb just in case we want to turn that off. We'll put the black up front. And we'll do something like that. Okay. So with here's the ambiverb set to a switch. So now if we want that off, we can take it off. So here's our core tone with just the amp, cab, and reverb, and a little bit of delay. Turn on the ambiverb. Turn on the pitch delay. Save that. We'll go new rig, and we're gonna make a Gary Moore based on your recommendations. So JCM 800, here's the lead 800 stuff. There's a bass mod, a bright, and a TS mod. I really like the bass mod because it's so beefy in like that lower mids. But we can experiment with other stuff. So let's find a good cab here. Let's just do a classic 30. And let's find okay, that sounds good, but that's a little bit too bright for me. Let's try the 67. All right. This is a good test on your hearing analysis. So back to 87 on axis. This is what's the total sound of the brightness. And to me, that combination of amp and cab with that mic is just a little too bright. But now that sounds like, it sounds okay. It's a sound. All right. Sorry, I don't know what I did. Let's bring the gain down. Let's bring the master volume down. Crank the mids up maybe. kind of testing the range of the presence knob here, and also the mids, just to see what it does to the sound. I'm gonna turn up my headphones, and I'll actually mute my mic for a second so you don't hear my strings being played in the background. All right, that is the bass mod. Let's see what the TS mod sounds like. I still like the bass mod myself. Now, I don't know if that's a Gary Moore sound or not, but I like it. And I'm going to go with it because I can. There is a tremolo on this amp. Which you may want, you may not. Let's add a few more effects and then we'll reassign the switches and be done, okay? Let's add in a tube screamer in the front. I don't know why the color always changes, but I'm going to resave that preset so hopefully it stays on the green. Okay, let's go ahead and turn off tremolo for now. Yeah, I mean, you can mess around with it, so presence all the way down. Mids down. All right, let's do the volume on the guitar test. So let's roll back the volume and see if we can clean it up at all. It's still a little dirty, but JRC. Now, the only thing the JRC is going to do in this context is, since the amp is already has a lot of gain, the JRC, which is a tube screamer, because it has a JRC, chip inside that original pedal. Cool. You're not going to add a lot more gain. It's just going to roll off some of that low end as it hits the front of the amp. So now I'm going to have to go and listen to some Gary Moore here. Let's bring the gain down on the amp just a little bit. Just give us some clarity. Now, this is another thing you can do. I want you to experiment with how much less gain can you get away with and still have it be fairly gainy. So is there a difference between 30% versus 60%. Okay, let's roll the volume on my neck pickup and then go to the neck. Okay. Turn on the tube screamer. See, I think that's where this shines, is if you keep the gain fairly low on the amp, maybe bring the master volume back up a little bit, and then turn on the tube screamer, you're gonna get that extra gain that you want, but you don't have to have it on the amp the whole time. You can just keep the gain on the amp low and then turn on the tube screamer to add back in the gain, just like it would be if you crank the gain at 60% or so. So that's just what I prefer to do. So that way the rig is as versatile as it can be. All right, Gary, who? No, I know what we're gonna do. More Gary. Yes. Such a creative name. I'll tell you what. But maybe you hear that rig and you're like, dude, that's going to be my core tone for my punk band. It's like, sure, it doesn't have to be a Gary Moore tone. Tons of bands, tons of guitar players have used JCM 800s over the years. So just because a rig is called something certain, a certain name, doesn't mean that you can't use it for a plethora of other stuff. So these rigs can definitely be regurgitated over and over and over for different styles, different genres, whatever you want. My hard drive is freaking out. It's making a buzzing sound. All right, what we're going to do, we're going to make this, we're going to do a room sound. But we're going to make the time and the size super small. So we're just going to make it where it's almost like an early reflection kind of sound. Maybe. Now, do you like that sound? Do you not like the sound? It just depends on what you want. But it's definitely like a small room, like early reflection kind of thing. Bring the size back up. Okay, so let's just get a little bit. All right, so that's the core sound. Now we're just going to bring the mix of it down. So maybe it's just barely there. Okay. I like that. I hate to add delay to every rig ever, but I just like delay. Even if it's just a little bit. So let's do a dock slap once again. Maybe do 300 milliseconds this time. Somewhere around there. Always make sure my tails are on for the reverb. And maybe add a wah pedal in there for you guys. Like I said before, let's see, we go to A. We can see what's assigned to A right here. So we're going to take that, unassign it, go to B, and then assign it to B. See how I did that? It's pretty quick and easy. So now, if we push down on the toe on your expression pedal, whether it's attached to your pedal board or you have the headrush expression or the mission engineering expression connected to the gig board, you can access the wall just by pushing on the toe and doing that. Next time, I'll be sure to add my expression pedal or hook it up to the gig board so I can demonstrate all that. But for now, you'll get it. You'll get the gist. Now, there is something you can do. Modulation, air filter. All right, dot cock is my auto wall setting. All right, so for me, that gets me a wall sound just enough to where I don't have to have my foot working as hard. I can just kick that on and not hit my camera. And yeah, I think it sounds good. So we'll actually put the air filter on first, green JRC, and then we'll make sure the tape echo is in there. And the tape echo is set to milliseconds and not it's not syncopated with like a subdivision. Not syncopated, but like it's not, synced up to a core note delay or eighth note delay. So having a tap tempo on this is not that important. But you can turn it off right there. Okay, there's that. Now with this air filter, we can turn the mix of that down. You can see my settings right here. I got the frequency at about 1000, fatness at 50, resonance about 50. I just turn the mix of it down, the modes at bypass or band pass, LFO depth, LFO rate, and the sync for the LFO is off. So there's my settings for that. If you want to copy that preset, or you can just go to my headrush tone sculpting course, and when you sign up, you get all the videos that are currently in the course and future videos and future rigs. So I think on the description of the actual course it says new rigs will be out weekly. But I think I'm just going to go ahead and change that and say I'm just going to do one live stream a month and build rigs right here in front of you. And then you can just go download those rigs after the live stream. Now, these may be up probably by tomorrow night, but I just wanted to go ahead and get the live stream out because I will be not available over the weekend. All right, I kind of like that more, just having the mix down. So I'm going to go ahead and save that, and I'm going to blow over my dot cock preset and store the new setting there. So it just allows you to have a little bit of movement in your solo tone. Okay, so here are the rigs. We got a Rock Basement. And I may go back and add the JY21 to these rigs, just so people know that these were from July 2021. But you can always rename them to whatever you want after the fact. So we got Rock Basement, Twin Clean, a Tango Wash, and a More Gary. So there you go, guys. I will be sure the description of this video is updated with the link to check out the Headrush tone sculpting course. And also there is always a link for my Sonic DNA Doc IR pack that is available all the time, but this weekend, I think through the 7th, you can pick it up for like 50% off. So if you're watching this in the future, you're like, dang, I missed the sale. Well, I think Greg always has some kind of sale going on, maybe once a quarter, every other month, something like that. So there are some good deals hanging out on the website, Sonic DNA website. So yeah, just go check them out. They're cheap. You get all the IRs that you want. But just know that if you buy my particular IR pack, you do help to feed hungry children, i.e. mine. I have a 5 and a 8-year-old now, and the 8-year-old just broke her arm, so that's always fun. She's enjoying life hugely at the moment, not being able to swim and not going to camp and all that fun stuff. So she'll have a fun summer. But bless her little heart, she played me in chess tonight, and I had to put a whooping on her in chess. So we're having fun. We're enjoying summer. I'm trying not to mow the yard too much. And yeah, so thanks guys for chiming in, sticking around. I'm glad the live stream went okay. The Mevo is over the gig board here, and then I have my iPhone with the Epoch Cam app. So my phone can actually be a webcam, and that's how you're seeing me right here, right? So this is a pretty good setup. I am using the Studio Live Series 3 mixing board, going through a matrix mix on here to get the live stream sound. And I have a stereo guitar, which I just realized was not panned. So let's pan this over. So you can get the full effect there. Okay, there's that. Let's go back to our Tango Wash. You can hear the reverb and the stereo-ness of that. Alright, so just know that if you want to recreate that big stereo sound live, you have to be prepared for the sound guy to be like, sorry dude, I only got one input for you. We're just going to go mono tonight. So it's still going to sound big. It's just not going to be as wide as maybe you want it. But maybe you don't need to be wide in a live setting. Now, maybe at church you can get away with that, but maybe like in a big club or bar downtown, wherever you live, they don't want the big wide sound. They just need a mono guitar sound to blend in with the band. But if you're definitely in the studio and you can afford to record stereo with a nice wide delay and reverb and stuff like that, then by all means, make it as wide as you can. It sounds good in my headphones anyway. Okay, very good. And here's the twin clean. And then here's our rock basement. Now, you're probably wondering, let's do this. Let's put the rigs, let's go into rig view so I can just quickly switch between the 4 rigs here. So we got rock bass, twin clean, tango, then more Gary. Alright, so we're going to go to the output, make sure our LEDs are hitting around the 0 mark. Okay, and that one is, we'll go to Tango Wash. We'll go to Twin Clean. Alright, that one could be a little bit higher. Okay, that works for that. And then we're going to go to Rock Bass. So even when I dig in, I'm not getting close to that 0, so I'm just going to bring up the rig volume here. This is optimizing each rig so they sound roughly the same volume as you switch. But I don't want to go over 0 because if you have any kind of boost in your chain, the extra boost in volume will make everything louder, and you don't want to go into the yellow or the red on your head rush, just for consistency's sake. So this is really just a visual guide to let you know, hey, if I'm in that 0 just below kind of area, then you know all your rigs are going to be in a good, roughly the same volume. Okay. Now I did not add any compression at all to any of these rigs, which I'm going to go back to the clean just real fast. I was going to be done, but I'm going to go ahead and here's a preset. Attack. Let's bring the ratio down a little bit. Actually, what we can do is turn the threshold all the way down. Then just mess with the ratio to get the amount of compression. Then we can always bring the gain up to compensate for the lack of volume. Alright, so let's bypass it. Yeah, that's great. So that's a trick I learned from Kevin Ward, who's actually a Grammy, or actually a Dove award-winning engineer producer. On his SSL E-channel plugin, he turns the threshold all the way down, and then just raises the ratio up until he gets enough compression that he wants. Okay, so if you're not sure where to put your threshold on here, just take it all the way down and start raising up the ratio till you hear the amount of compression you want, and then you're good. So it's just a very quick trick to, you can mess with the knee as well. The less knee you have, the more natural it's going to sound. The higher the knee, I think the more compressed it's going to sound. So I like that 1 to 4, 1.4 to 1 kind of sound. Alright, I'm going to leave it just like that. I think it sounds good. Humberto, the headrush pedalboard is my consumer dream. It's a pity that at the moment I don't have the financial condition for that, but I like it better than the Helix. Well, the Helix is way more expensive for sure, and if there's any kind of like Sweetwater-esque kind of option there in Brazil, then maybe you can just put it on a payment plan, pay a little bit a month to get it paid off. I do have a Sweetwater card that I do put stuff on just to pay over time. Like I can pay for it over like 2 years or 4 years or whatever I want. So, but yeah, definitely save your money if you can and get yourself a headrush pedal board. Or even the gig board. This is the gig board is here right in front of you. This is what I'm using just for this live stream. I can use the pedal board for other live streams, but it's just easy to have this on the desk right here. And the gig board is only, I think, $650. So it's a little bit less than the full-size pedal board. But you get all the same tones, and it's smaller. You can throw it in a backpack. Take a 1/4 inch out to the front of house, and you're good to go. So, all right, I'm pretty happy with all this. So I'm gonna make sure my gate is down, so that way it doesn't cut off my sound if it goes below the threshold there on the input gate. And then I got my output optimized, and we should be good. So I'll get these rigs up on the website for July 2021. I think I have a May and a June section, but I'll probably just take those down and be like, July is my first official headrush tone sculpting rigs that is available to all members of that course. And we'll just go on with August, September, October, on through the rest of the year, and then we'll just start 2022 in January. So each month we're going to give you 4 rigs that you can use for cleans, for crunch, for lead, more some ambient stuff. So be sure to send me your requests either on Facebook, Facebook Messenger. If you're on Instagram, you can find me on there. And you can always go to my website, drmcfarlandstudios.com, and contact me through the contact page, where I will, you can just send me an email with whatever rig request you have. Now be sure to look them over and use them accordingly to get some more rigs out for you guys that are a part of the Headrush Tone Sculpting course. So thanks once again for watching. Truly blessed to have a great following here on YouTube with all the Headrush guys. And thanks to Greg and Sonic DNA for making a Dock IR pack that is available on his website. And he sent me some money earlier today. Let me know that there was another pack that sold. So I do appreciate everyone who watches, who buys a t-shirt, who buys a Sonic DNA IR pack. Maybe you're shopping at Sweetwater or Amazon. I highly encourage you to click through my link in the description. That is an affiliate link. So whatever you buy, I get a little bit of a commission from that. It's at no extra charge to you. But it just does help to support the channel. So if you're going to buy something on Sweetwater, go ahead and click my link below, and then you'll be supporting the channel that way. So, all right, guys, have a good night or a good day wherever you are in the world, and we will see you either the very end of July or the very first week of August to do the August 2021 Headrush Tone Sculpting rigs. So I am Dr. McFarland. I will see you in the next video.